Anthemic, boot-stomping rock dipped in darkness and trippy funk madness, interstellar fretwork, wicked riffs and hooks, searing solos and soul-searching lyrics paired with haunting ebo and slide guitar symphonies.
While their themes are drastically different, like one's literally aliens and the other one is literally monsters in a rock band trying to put on a concert. So awesome. It was a sequel to both the book and the movie.
Yes.
The Shining is about trying to deal with life while being a drunk. And Dr. Sleep is about dealing with life being a sober drunk. Episode 7 finally brought Tim Robbins back to Shawshank, and it was totally worth it.
Whoa. I hope he doesn't have to crawl through a river of shit backwards.
Oh, man.
Hello.
Oh, hey, buddy.
There it is. Sorry.
How are you doing? I'm great.
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
You're looking well. What is that shirt?
Let me get a little more headspace in there in the shot in my frame. Well, we're not doing any video. What does it fucking matter? What the fuck am I doing?
Just because we do shit right here.
This is Danger Mouse. So it's this British cartoon almost done in like Monty Python style animation. So like all the characters are normal animated, but the backgrounds are all like that. You know how Terry Gilliam animated like all those like tinted old style photos, and he would like cut them in certain ways, and then do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Like that's not like the whole style of animation for like Monty Python's, even in their intro. That's what it looks like. So that's like the background of Danger Mouse, but it's our world exists, but then there's this like underworld of animals that are, and he is like a 007 character. Like, so it's like really awesome and really deep cut, really nerdy.
Oh, that's cool.
But they did an update to it on Netflix, which I did not care for very much, but the original is also on Netflix, I think.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Or it's on one of the streaming services to see, but it's fun.
Neato.
Welcome, Long Walkers, to Long Walk Short Drink episode 79.
Yeah. Wow, that's high.
The November episode.
Yes. In fact, so maybe it's worth mentioning because you and I have talked about this, but I hadn't included any of the episodes because we had other long talks, and as much as a fan of the podcasting medium as I am, I generally don't like to listen to people plan. So I cut out our discussion about this that you and I have had. But Our listeners are likely to have noticed they've been being published a little less often. That's because old Dave here's got so many projects he's trying to make happen that I asked Palmer if he'd be willing to scale back a little bit while I devote some more time to those. And of course, Palmer being Palmer, he's like, sure, man, no problem. Sure, man, go ahead.
What am I going to be like? Like, no, you can't. You need to keep like devoting these hours every 2 weeks to like making this 4-hour long thing on top of spending 4 hours recording it with me. No, damn all your other projects. This is it. No, I can't be like that. Of course, go do those things. What else are we gonna fucking talk about? Like,
right? Yeah. I've been working on stuff and getting certain things done, but there's one project in particular, the documentary I was working on about my 10 years making music, particularly the last album that I made with Moto, and I guess that's just been sort of perpetually set to the side since we got going on this, and and it's been almost 5 years since the events of that. So I was starting to get the itch to finish.
Yeah,
And,
no, man.
So yeah, and then of course some other like shit came up to where I'm literally like, okay, I gotta finish this and this and this before I can really dive into that. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah,
I just gotta. I mean, all great stuff. I mean, it's literally the stuff that keeps me up at night and gets me up in the morning. Excited to make like this, but things that are involving music or movies of various kinds. So.
Awesome.
So yeah,
No,
that's
I'm
why
totally
there's.
down for that.
I know you're cool about it, which I really appreciate it, and I hope that's not too much of a drag for our listeners. So we toyed with the idea of maybe breaking episodes up because we tend to have like around about 3-hour episodes. That hasn't quite worked out in a way that I feel like would be satisfying to listeners, but I'm interested to try it when I'm editing it. Sometimes it's like that because we've been talking kind of current things. Like today we're going to talk Dr. Sleep at least a little, and last time was Joker, and that tends to be in the second half, and we're generally kind of behind the curve anyway.
Yeah.
So by the time we get, it's like a month and a half after. Plus,
that's fair.
I just binge podcasts is what it tends to be. Like if I'm in the mode of such and such a podcast, and I know it's like all pre-recorded, and they're just going to dole it out next week. I'm like, what? Just don't break. Just let me keep listening. Like. If I have to save up my time to listen, I will. Anyway, so that's how I thought about it. If you're listening and you feel differently, feel free to hit us up, lwsdpod@gmail.com or at lwsdpod on Twitter. Let us know if we don't have a large listener base, so we can try to cater to it if there's some consensus about what folks would like.
Well, no, I think it's great because it also I've been devoting a lot of time to pinball recently and other hobbies. So, no, I think it totally makes sense. I actually just had a guy ask me if I was interested in starting a pinball podcast.
Really?
Yeah, which awesome. I don't.
What would that be like?
I don't know. I'm not sure
because it's such an act. I mean, it's like an active thing that you do.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them. That's my one apprehension is there is a small group of podcasts that are devoted to pinball that talk like pinball news and go to shows and all that. And I just don't have the time to go travel to all the pinball shows like during show season, which is in the fall, like that's going on now. Cincinnati actually is this weekend.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's a pinball festival down in Cincinnati, obviously. So I don't really know what we would talk like other than just like new pinball news, which I feel like that's pretty adequately covered by already established podcasts, which I'm not saying that should be a reason why you should or should not start a podcast just because somebody else is already doing it. Like, just make it your own thing, right? So, I don't know. We'll think I'll think on it.
Well, something to keep in mind is if you want to try something that's short that you don't have to create all the infrastructure for, we could always have it be like a short segment on our episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To where it's like if you just want to, it wasn't like The Simpsons started out on Tracy Ullman, right, or something like as a short, and like it kind of. So if you just want to. You have a platform already that you can kind of try something out if you wanted to.
Yeah. I really would love to get going with a I'm sorry I have the yawns. I would really love to get going with a Twitch stream, like a let's learn how to play pinball together kind of Twitch stream.
Fun,
not that I'm like a great pinball player, but like it would give me intention to play and improve while interacting with some kind of audience, I guess.
Yeah.
The live stream thing, for those of you listening too, you're only listening probably. YouTube really changed the way that you could do live video on their platform, which kind of pretty much removed all of the options for us to do those live streams. we did have a nice little core contingent of people who would watch us.
Yeah,
we would record these episodes.
Yeah, and that was fun, and it was fun to have the video component. So we've been going old school here for a while until a better solution presents itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you end up doing that Twitch thing too, keep our YouTube channel in mind. I think as an archive place.
Absolutely.
Even if it were just clips or something like that. I still feel, Twinkie, if you're listening, and anyone listening, perhaps on some sort of Thanksgiving drive, I'm hoping this will come out that Wednesday.
Nice.
If you're listening on a long drive or something like that. I thought about Twinkie listening for some reason, but yeah, I like the idea of having, because as I understand it from his experience, the archive of your Twitch streams, videos and stuff, you have, but are not necessarily available to people to catch up or like watch after they're live beyond like maybe the most recent or whatever. So
Gotcha.
I still like the idea of there being at least segments of Twinkie's Twitch. Like he would do the Twinkie's Take, that he started on this show. Like he would do that on that platform. But I was only a couple times ever like caught part of it live, and so a few times I'm like, I should go back and catch up with Twinkie, and the videos were gone. So anyway.
That's a bummer.
YouTube hasn't taken away our storage yet, so,
that's good. So we still have that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, you want to open a beer?
Oh yeah,
you got a beer?
Absolutely.
This is so trashy. I have a growler that I'm trying to get through before it goes flat. So, it still should like.
It looks cool for me at least.
Yeah, like I'm gonna hillbilly it and like kick it up on my arm, and drink out of it. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. No,
that looks like it'd be uncomfortable anyway.
Yeah, I have a glass. It will go in a glass, but it should still make a noise when I open it.
Sweet.
Hopefully, a cool one.
Okay.
So, all right, on 3 and 3.
Whoa, that was a great noise.
Yeah,
that was super.
Oh, it smells so good.
What is it?
So for Ash's birthday, we went and we rented a lake house in Michigan.
Oh yes, I want to hear all about this. That was that last weekend or 2 weekends ago?
Let me look. It was the weekend of the 8th, 9th, and 10th and 11th. So 2 weekends ago. Yeah, 2 weekends ago. So we stayed in this lake house in Michigan, and then the lake house was 30 minutes from Saugatuck Brewing Company, which is the place that makes the Neapolitan beer.
Oh yeah.
The Neapolitan milk stout, which if you can find that, it's fantastic. But this is it's a white stout, so it's called the Ghost of Neapolitan. It's the same beer, but it's just brewed, so it's a white stout, and it's really good. So we got a ton of beer. We spent a lot of money on beer up there, but we got some really good beer. But we got 2 growlers, and amazingly, they are still fizzy. Like they're not flat even after that weekend. So,
well, cheers, everyone, wherever you are, drinking whatever you're drinking. I actually had a drinking lunch with Crams today in Minneapolis.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was weird. Like, anyway, but I was weird because I ordered one beer and the guy was so cool, like letting us try stuff that he was like we were just hanging out and then he's like, well, if you're just gonna be hanging out and you're paying the bill, like here, he gave us like half glass more. So I probably had like at least 2, if not maybe a little more, only paying for one.
Wow.
Anyway, so I was kind of like on the way home. I wasn't like drunk because it was lunchtime. I was never drunk, but I felt like a little like, oh. I just noticed at my age, it's cumulative. So like if it's a 3-drink thing, it's not like 3 drinks in this many hours. It's like if you have 3 drinks today, you're gonna feel it tomorrow. I was like, Jesus. So it's good, I think, for my health that I drink so much less, but it makes it the very little then that I consume will like just go straight to my whatever. Like, I'm halfway hungover from 2 beers. It's so stupid. But it was very fun to see him. He was in town, I guess you could say for business, but he was like a stone's throw from my office, like on
awesome
the campus where I work. So So that was cool and unexpected. I actually didn't know that was going to happen until last night. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. One of the things that I'll be getting into is actually making, I know I told you about this, making a documentary of some sort about this album that he's made that I really like. It's not quite finished yet, but the other thing I've been spending a lot of time doing this last month is helping do the sort of artwork and publish a new collection of songs from Moto.
Oh,
yeah, from his Fascist Puppeteer, like one-man band. This kind of came out of nowhere too, because he just put out that collection mixtape in February of this year. So like within 6 or 8 months or whatever, like he has this. So there's 6 more songs, all new, all from this year, and they are dynamite. Like
I'm so
good.
excited. What? Give a shout out. What's that site that you host all that?
So if you go to dreamingoutloudrecords.com, it's the first. They're all kind of chronological. So both of Moto's things are right there. And I thought to I might reintroduce the Dreaming Out Loud archive outro segment. So at the end of this, especially now that we're doing so many audio only podcasts, play songs because if you go to that site, you'll see like I spent the week because I helped him put it out, but now I'm sort of exploring music licensing options, like trying to submit it for stuff. And so in doing that, I thought it would help to sort of bolster the quasi-professional presentation of that site. So I went through and put a bunch of my albums that weren't previously on there, and thinking about some that aren't quite ready to go up, or I'll have to rip and remaster or whatever. It'd be like 30 some, music projects and albums spanning 20 some years from this just group of friends. But it's a remarkable collection of stuff that you can download stream and download for free.
Yeah. So please head over to dreamingoutloudrecords.com. I'm looking at this list right now and it's just astounding to me.
Yeah, it's mostly our friends, and it's a little bit my family, and then some of it's grown to like extended family a little bit, like the Midland Uprising Project and NJ's and the Jeff are both headed up by Brian Yost, who's played drums with me a lot, and Moto's produced music for sort of his extended group of friends, and just there's so much good stuff there. But this practicing synthesis record that he made is just so fucking good. And I was just like, that's why I thought of the music licensing thing, because I was like, through my job in video, I go to sound libraries. Sound libraries is it's like collections of music that you can license, and so my organization has a blanket license, so I can just choose from this library. But I'm always just thinking like Moto's music could be here, and particularly this collection is just so cool. It's
I can't wait to listen
great.
to this.
So I'll play something that I really like at the end of it. I wrote like a little synopsis. Let me see if I can find that quick. But also, so his one-man band name is the Fascist Puppeteer, the first thing I think of now is I had brought that up. This is all over the place, as one can expect, especially when we haven't talked for 6 weeks, I guess. But one of the other things that was going on with me is my therapist, who I really like, is moving on to a new job. So I had like a kind of a last appointment with her and talking about like some other people I might try. But that's apropos of nothing other than it's a significant change for me. I thought of it because I was in talking to her about what was going on, some of the things I was up to and stuff. I mentioned, I was like, I was helping my brother publish this album, and it's his one-man band name is called Fascist Puppeteer, and she just like looked, just instantly got it, and you're just like, that's awesome. I know, so I hope he hears that and takes it to heart, because I know sometimes he's a little like, I don't know about that name if it turns people off, but it was so cool to see somebody just like be like, oh, that's awesome, that's a great one-man band name. And but anyway, so because it's that's the name of his act, it lends itself to puppetry images. And it just so happens that one of our oldest friends is a professional puppet sculptor and puppeteer who lives in Amsterdam. And so Moto was looking through like his Instagram feed and stuff, because he'll often post like things in progress, so he found some really cool images, and we kind of made it happen, and I spent some time putting it together, like a 10-page lyric and PDF book that you get if you download it from dreamingoutloudrecords.com, or you can download each song individually for free or whatever. And it's there, but it's all over anywhere you would stream music. So your Spotify's, all that stuff. Fascist Puppeteer is not super easy to spell, but practicing synthesis is the name if you look it up. But so so I'll play a little later. But the last thing I wanted to say about it was just like a 2-sentence thing that I wrote about it to kind of describe it to people online, and that is anthemic, boot stomping rock dipped in darkness and trippy funk madness, interstellar fretwork, wicked riffs and hooks, searing solos and soul-searching lyrics paired with haunting ebo and slide guitar symphonies. If any of that sounds good to you, check out my brother Moto's new collection of songs, Practicing Synthesis, wherever you listen to music.
Cannot
Do
wait.
it up. It is so good. There's this one solo in one of the songs that makes me cry every time. I couldn't tell you.
Really?
And I don't even necessarily know why, but I'm on like however many listens and it always hits me. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
And so I would say too, like if you're a fan of like Muse, some of the songs are kind of space rocky like that, like like anthemic, as I mentioned. A very wide variety of styles in these 6 songs, but yes, check that out. So I've been messing around with that a lot.
Check it out.
Exactly. But so you were saying that you've been spending extra time on pinball as well as other hobbies. Tell me more about what you mean by that.
I just have been really working on them, and I've been doing a lot of trades. I just traded, so it's a little hard to, it's not hard to explain. It's just, well, I guess it's the name of the show, right? It's a long walk. So I had the Attack from Mars and the Monster Bash tables, both of which we played when I was in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I remember that Monster Bash well.
Yeah. And Attack from Mars was the one with the alien on the top that moved.
Yeah.
And so both of those games, while their themes are drastically different, like one's literally aliens and the other one is literally monsters in a rock band trying to put on a concert. So awesome. Their gameplay is very, very similar. The shots are very similar. And so I found myself, when I would want to play, I would gravitate to Monster Bash and not Attack from Mars. And it didn't feel satisfying to switch to that game. It just felt like when I would get frustrated with Monster Bash and I would go over to try to play Attack from Mars, all the same things that were frustrating me on Monster Bash were happening on Attack from Mars, right? Because it's essentially the same shots.
I see.
So I found myself not gravitating towards playing that. And my whole philosophy is, if you're not playing a game, it's just collecting dust and then taking up a spot from a game that you might want to play. So rotate it out. And it was too beautiful of a machine to just like not get played. So I just traded that. Stern came out in July with a brand new Jurassic Park pinball machine. So it's based on the first movie. So I traded that Attack from Mars for that Jurassic Park.
Oh my God, we played that too, didn't we? Like
yeah,
we had to wait for it.
Yeah, we did it.
We played with that other guy.
Yeah, that same game. Yeah, so we traded that Attack from Mars for that, and then I have another deal that hopefully, knock on wood, I hopefully am going to be making another trade I'm going to be trading my 2 Pinball 2000s for a Creature from the Black Lagoon pinball machine, which is also another like Universal licensed. It has the Universal Monster logo on it.
That's awesome.
But that one is really great because it's not that there are elements of Creature from the Black Lagoon in the game, but the whole point of the real theme is you are at the drive-in watching Creature from the Black Lagoon at the drive-in. And so like on the back glass, it's all these cars are lined up, and the DMD, like where all the animations are, looks like the screen of the drive-in. And like it's really awesome. So I'm hoping that I'll be doing that trade this weekend. I have to drive up to Chicago to do it though.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Jurassic Park, luckily I only had to go up right past Columbus. So yeah, it's that Jurassic Park is astounding. It's an amazing game. Now that I've had it and been able to put some time on it, it really is mind-blowing how great it is. So
well, I'll be excited to play that myself next month. Our December episode for anyone looking forward is going to be set in your pinball area, but it's like also your living room. I can't remember.
No. So
it's entryway.
It was a living room, and we ended up kind of condensing. We moved our living room into where our dining room used to be. And I mean, because if you just think like our house is an old house, so when you walk in, it's like there's a front room and a back room, and off of the back room is the kitchen. So the back room now is our living room, and the room when you first walk in is the pinball parlor that has our.
That's the word I was looking for. That's great.
Yeah. So and our kitchen table is in there. So.
That's wonderful. Oh, that we could podcast there.
It'll work perfect because we'll just podcast at that table. So
that's great because that'll be so Star Wars. We're gonna gather just like for the Last Jedi, for Rise of Skywalker. We're gonna get the LWSD cast together.
The whole cast.
Do it up.
Coming down to Dayton.
And Crams.
Isn't that crazy?
Today, he was.
Oh, I forgot all about Crams. Yeah. That's so great. Yeah.
He was so excited when I told him, I was like, when you first mentioned that you were considering coming down there for this, I was worried we wouldn't be able to get you a ticket. But I was like, Palmer contacted me like in the middle of the night. He's like, I got it. He's sitting right next to us. He was very touched by that. So I'm sure you'll hear from him.
Awesome.
But I wasn't sure too if like you wanted to podcast about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." he's reading the novelization, not novelizations, the like side novels. So there's one I guess about Princess Leia called Bloodline that he's working on right now. That sounded kind of interesting and takes place between Jedi and Force Awakens, but like before the First Order rises, and while like their son Ben is with Luke and. I don't know. He says, he's liking it quite a lot. So
awesome.
Yeah, but man, that's going to be fun. I can't wait to be in that pinball parlor. I mean, I've never seen your place in Dayton at all, but this will be an exciting.
It's going to be so mind blowing to have all you guys in my space. Like, it was almost too much emotionally to have like Moto and Double D here at the same time, and then but to have like Twinkie and you and Crams like as an added bonus, man, that's gonna be so fucking awesome. So I mean, we might have to be a little creative with places to sleep, but I'm sure that won't be a problem.
I told him that, and actually he might he has some family in the area. He might stay with.
I forgot his brother is pretty close, like relatively close. So,
but he was excited about the idea of maybe just talking right after the movie, which would be a late night.
No, that's exactly what we're doing, right?
So I said, as long as you're okay with sleeping on any available surface, we could do that. But yeah, so we'll be sharing that with listeners, and it will be video as well. I'm figuring out the best way to get. I can get a camera. I'm trying to figure out about a tripod because I'm flying to get there and anyway.
Yeah, and you're getting in Thursday night, which is awesome. and then so we'll be, and I'm taking Friday off. So
Oh, wicked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
we'll be set up and be able to kind of relax and all that. Get some pinball in.
yeah, we can go to breakfast at Tank's.
Oh, I love. Yeah, I gotta.
That's the place that Ash and I had our first date, and
Yeah, the namesake of your pup.
yeah, he came with that name though. We didn't give him
Oh,
that
that's
name.
right. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mr.
And actually,
Tank.
that's I guess something else to mention for the posterity, as it were. Since we last spoke, I did get a new dog. We adopted.
Oh yeah, I meant
dog.
to ask how you talked a little bit.
His given name, like from the adoption agency or whatever, is Jeff. Just get Jeffrey.
That is amazing.
I can't get
Are
over
you
it.
keeping that?
Yeah, we are. Like the bride sometimes has talked about like hemming and hawing about it. Wanted to call she wants, because we have 11, who we call Elle or Ellie after, but not the Ellie, but 11 or Elle is all after Stranger Things, and
Right.
so when she started, so also this I guess hasn't come up in the podcast, but our older dogger we had for like 7 years. Maggie May passed away over the summer, or she died. That's, I guess, whatever you say about that, or we had to put her to sleep, all of that, whatever. She's not with us anymore. And
The day I flew out, it was awful.
it was our anniversary too. Yeah.
And it was your anniversary too. Yeah.
And it was just out of nowhere. Like actually when Palmer and I were
Yeah.
recording the Goonies episode, I found out later that Maggie had thrown up, and I didn't think too much of it. I mean, it's easy to understand why a dog would be upset with when you turn like your entire downstairs into like a TV studio and tore
And a
everything
new
up.
person is there, a loud, large, hairy person.
Yeah, but she's an old lady and just not very fussy about stuff in general. But nonetheless, I was like, oh, okay, it sucks she threw up. But it turned out that like basically in a 24-hour period, she went from having certain health problems that were being managed to like being not okay, and I guess in a lot of pain. So it all happened so fast, and I thought we were going to wait much longer to adopt another dog. But the bride just fell in love with this guy Jeff online. Secondhand Hounds is the place where we adopted Ellie, and but she wanted to call our next dog Max, whether it was a boy or a girl, after because on season 3 of Stranger Things, 11 becomes good friends with Mad Max, Maxine, and so that was the logic there. But this guy's named Jeff, and everyone we tell it to is generally amused by that, and for me it was a selling
It's a
point.
dog named Jeff.
Yeah, but he came from a really unfortunate situation. I mean, his foster mom was very nice, but he was rescued from somewhere high kill shelter. And actually, yeah, it's terrible. I don't know if I want to tell. I generally cry whenever I hear the specifics of it, but he was physically like mutilated by wherever he was. So he's got some issues, and so we're trying to work through those. And I think we're gonna
Like
have
through the high kill shelter mutilated
no,
him.
well, we don't know exactly, but I guess I'll just tell you, because not to be cryptic. Somebody like wherever he was like tied his penis off, and like how whatever was tied like fused with his body, and he had to have these surgeries, and so he's got like half a penis and like a hole kind of in the side, like in but that somehow stays clean and is functional, and so he's like, and so sometimes when he pees it like comes
Poor
out of that
guy.
as well. Yeah, and so when he came for the visit, like he would bark.
Wait, did you just say sometimes when he pees it comes out the side as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. I mean, but so
That is-
he and he has heartworm.
That is intense. And he has heartworm?
Yeah. But it's very treatable. See, so we're actually technically his foster parents until the organization pays for the treatment. So he's got to have 2 overnight stays where I think it's just like a shot or something. I'm not sure, but during that time, in between these shots, so it's a 30 days new shot, another 30 days. He has to be kept super calm, and so it's all just a bit stressful for us. But he's only been here just this is his 8th
He's
day.
absolutely adorable, by the way.
So thanks. He's such a sweet guy, and he's adapting so fast for all the problems that he has. And so a lot of it is we figure it was probably a man that abused him because he's very scared of men. But he's catching on really quickly. And I realized yesterday when I was at work, 2 days ago, we had a really good visit with our vet. We took him to our vet, who's a fucking saint. And that really put us at ease about a lot of things. So we were able to like just feel much better about our decision. And, but yeah, then just like yesterday, I was at lunch and I caught myself. I'm like, I'm looking forward to going home and seeing Jeff, I was like, so he's really become, he's doing so great. And, we're so happy to have him. And I think he's really gradually realizing that he himself won the puppy lottery of parents who are just spoil the shit out of him. He's got a behavioral therapist coming over already. And yeah. So we walk around saying things like, hi, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Hi, Jeff with a J, never a G. Like all these, like every Jeff we can think of. We're just acclimating him to our weirdness. Yeah. So tweet at us any of your Jeff. Jeff.
Yeah. What's your best Jeff?
Sometimes I say, one of them I've said is like, hi, Jeff from the Jean-Pod Van Damme cast. Shout out to those guys.
Jeffrey.
Anyway, so that's been a new and exciting development around our household. Yeah. I don't know. And
Let me I'll send you my new baby.
You got a new baby? Or a new charge of some sort?
No, it's a Jurassic Park machine.
Oh, fucking A. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, my God. I'm just looking at the layout here to see, like, you've got the Elvira, like, to the left, but then you've got, on the other side of it, two machines, like, facing it. It does look like a pinball parlor.
Oh, yeah. That'll rotate around. It's out in the middle of the floor right now. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it's like a doorway.
It'll go next to Monster Bash. It'll get tucked in that way so the front is sticking out like that. I just have it out there from where I unpacked it.
Oh, that's wicked. It's so cool how many now you got two from that pinball from Tilt Pinball where we were, or are there more? I feel like there's more.
Yeah.
No, the one is the sequel from the other one.
From the other one, yeah. I mean, I did have Attack from Mars, which was from Tilt, but that's what I traded for Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. That's sweet.
So
and now you might have a new acquisition this coming weekend. That's even better.
I'm hoping that comes through because that game is really, I'm really at a point in my play that I want like a variety of gameplay so that I feel like, I want to play this game. Like Jurassic Park is my only game right now that has an upper flipper instead of just the two at the bottom. There's a third one up on the top that you can hit. And that's my only game that has that. And so Creature from the Black Lagoon is a lot of my games are very deep where the shots are far back on the play field. There's a lot of open space in the middle. And Creature from the Black Lagoon is notorious for having a very shallow play field because all the stuff is very close to the flippers. So you have to be spot on when you hit your shots or else they just bounce off posts and drain, which is like instant death. Like the ball just comes right back, right down the middle, right in the out hole and kills the ball. So you get like such a pain in the ass.
No, I'm only used. So maybe one of the only, the Tilt experience is my only one really, other than this one rickety pinball machine up at some cabin on a lake. But so at your house, you just play to your heart's content. Obviously, you don't need tokens or anything, right? And you don't need to get
everything's on free play.
Yeah.
No tokens, no quarters. You just keep hitting the start button as much as you want.
Just the frustration or disappointment of the what do you call a shot not going or a pull? What do you call like the whole experience between when you launch the ball and when it goes out of
the
play?
ball? Like that was a great ball.
That was a great ball. Okay.
Yeah, because you get ball 1, ball 2, ball 3.
Okay.
So
That's
I just updated my Star Wars Episode 1 pinball. That's one of the ones that I'm going to be trading, hopefully, to the latest code, and had this amazing game. Like, I was testing out the code and it blew me away because the graphics were that machine and Revenge from Mars that I have video monitors that shine down on the glass and create holograms that you interact with, like when you're playing.
Wow.
And so Star Wars is like that. So it was blowing me away. The graphics look really good in this update. But then I had this amazing game where I got like 2 extra balls on the same ball. Like, oh, it was fantastic. It was such a great game.
Is it giving you second thoughts of like,
No,
maybe I don't want to?
No, I'm excited for Creature from the Black Lagoon for sure.
That's cool.
It's a good deal. I mean, he's coming out a little, like, value wise, he's coming out a little bit ahead, but I'm okay with that. So to get a good variety title in my collection for sure.
Sweet. And League play has been, is that still happening?
No, League's done.
Oh.
I didn't join the Winter League because did I tell the story about how, like, the person running kind of was off-putting a little bit?
Yeah, you kind of mentioned that, but so that was more of that was enough of a problem to.
Yeah, I'm not. That was enough where I was like, the holidays are already busy enough in the wintertime. I don't want to add this on top of it. So I think I'm going to start. Ash volunteers on Tuesdays because she is a much better person than I am. And I'm thinking of hosting like a weekly pinball night and just have an open invitation and let people come over and play.
Oh, that's fun.
While I'm a bachelor on Tuesday.
Like Tuesday night poker that gave birth to Palmer's Picks. And you never know what these things could lead to.
Absolutely. So that's also the night that I have a standing thing in my check register
pizza
app.
date.
That's like Tuesday pizza. Like I just have to type in Tuesday pizza and it fills out everything. It knows because the like college pizza place, the one that's open till like 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. You know what I'm talking about? That's by us. It's called Cousin Vinny's. It's
they have a special, right? On Tuesdays.
What's that?
Don't they have a special on Tuesdays?
Oh, yeah. The Tuesday special is a $4.99 or $5.99 large one topping.
Oh.
So, and
Dangerous.
Here's the thing is like, this guy I work with, he's like, I can't believe you eat that fucking pizza. That pizza is so bad. I'm like, no. On Tuesday, because it's their special day, they are making so much pizza, it's guaranteed to be like fresh dough, fresh, like, and so and I'm like 3 blocks from the place, so when they deliver, it's like piping hot still. Right, yeah. And so it's like it's so good, like so ridiculously good. So an onion and extra cheese pizza, that's what I go with on Tuesdays, and it is delicious.
Well, you could have people to help you eat it. It'll be
yeah.
That's great. Oh, last weekend, so I have been really diligent about like working on stuff, just realizing that if I want to accomplish all these things, I gotta steal the hours from comfort, as I once heard. So I watched stuff with the bride, and I guess we watch a lot of stuff together, and sometimes movies, but more series. But I got this great American Werewolf in London Blu-ray set from Arrow Video, and I wanted to. It's got many special features and it's real beautiful and stuff, and so I wanted to start by rewatching the movie. Like, it didn't actually come out till after Halloween, so I kind of extending that season even further. But anyway, so I wanted to watch the movie. It's like 97 minutes. I was like, I can stay up for this because I've been sometimes going to sleep earlier and waking up earlier to do stuff. But so I put it in on Saturday, I think. And so we got a new TV downstairs where we hung out. Well, I guess so now actually where we hung out upstairs watching like Goonies extras and stuff after the bride went to bed. That was like an old 4x3 TV when you were here.
Yeah.
We got a new smart TV and stuff. So, but only one of them has a headphone jack in the back, which is how I watch TV once the bride goes to sleep on weekends and stuff. And that was what I always did downstairs, but now that TV is upstairs. So with all the food.
Oh.
So that did not go well last week, to the point where so if I do these things, I'll tell her about it so that I don't just like carry it around in shame, and so that there's some, not necessarily accountability. I'm just like another human being knows about this. So I was just like, okay, next time I make a point of staying out to watch a movie, just so you know, I'm going to empty that cupboard and put it all in the cooler like I would if you were out of town, and like hide it in the garage, like put it in the trunk, back it up against the garage so I can't get it, and I'll put it back in the morning because I can't handle it. Especially if I've had so we started to do this thing on Saturdays. I think it's the pizza that made me think of it, both for like eating things you shouldn't, but also kind of the ritual. So we've got Sunday night ritual of like Walking Dead and wine and cheese. So even now that I drink so much less than I have previously and less often, I still have wine, and like every Sunday I'll have wine and cheese. Nowadays I can only, I know it's a max. In fact, I've been buying these pre-measured single bottle things, so it's like I found that I can drink 3 of them, but if I have 4, then I'm going to be fucked up the next day. So it's great. Like I used to rock a bottle of wine a few times a weekend, and then my limit that I knew is like I do wine and a beer. But anyway, whatever. So I'm proud of myself for a lot of that, but it's problematic when I do want to have some. So but that wine is bad when you have it the pre-measured, even like the best kind that we have. So I've been buying it for a while and just kind of tired of the bad taste. And so the bride makes this thing that I think you make a similar dish. It's like this spicy spaghetti with a lot of like cheese and bacon and cream type sauce. It's actually like a Chrissy Teigen recipe, but it's similar to one that I think you shared.
Carbonara?
Something like that. Yeah. And it's so good. And so it's so good that she actually even likes it quite a bit when she doesn't like a lot of what she cooks. And so we've been having that a lot on Saturdays. And so I love to have wine with pasta as a general rule. And so on that night we had that dish, which is really rich and all that. And I had the 2 pre-measured things, and I'm like, I'm going to do wine and cheese tomorrow, so I got to be sensible. But then I go up and she decorated for Christmas in some
already?
Yeah, which is really early even for her. Like I can't tell you how excited she gets. She like opens the thing and she's like dancing, and she just loves it. Makes her so happy. So we did that last weekend. And so it's early for me, to be fair, but that stuff makes me very happy to see as well. And so like the Christmas tree stuff is up. I got a belly full of pasta and a couple glasses of wine, of which I'm flying. And I put in this movie, and I was like, I could do a third of those little bottles. That'll be fine. I won't be in trouble for that. Or like I won't feel bad tomorrow. So I have that. I'm having a blast. This fucking movie rocks. The transfer is amazing. I'm just like digging into shit. I'm like, we I don't even know. I know at some point I did the 3 little bottles, then I did a milk stout beer. I thought maybe I can have 3 bottles and then a beer, because that's not high alcohol.
You're bargaining with yourself.
All of that.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's this amazing peanut butter in the cupboard that I hide that she bought. I never would have bought this because I cannot handle it. So I'm just like standing in the kitchen. I don't want to get into all the terrible, but it's, just night eating like a motherfucker. And and at some point I got Fritos and queso. It was a disaster. So but it was also glorious. I had a great time. But yeah, so the stand. Oh, because it wasn't the single serve. That's what it was. I got a good bottle of wine that I pre-measured, because I was like, I got to figure out how much would be half of it. And they always measure like liters. I'm like, I don't fucking know. Just tell me how many cups,
Yeah.
So I got out like a measuring thing. I'm like, okay, this is how much one would be using the single serve. So I figured it all out, and that shit was delicious. Anyway, even talking about it, I don't feel so much bad. It's like, that was fun, but I need to not do that every weekend.
Yeah.
If I don't, because I kind of, I felt like shit all Sunday and whatever.
You drink more wine and cheese on
I
Sunday?
did, but I think less. I think I did stick to 2
Yeah.
glasses, and I felt bad and fell asleep early, and I had shit to do that I didn't get done. And that was what really helped me like stop drinking so much in the first place. I was like, I got shit to do. I can't just be hungover. Like that was my motivator. It was because it's hard to not do something you like unless there's like a positive benefit of the shitty like change in habit of not doing it. Anyway, but I don't know. That's what's happening. That's the news from Lake Wobegon.
Well, shit.
Well, I know you saw Dr. Sleep last night, but anything else like you've been excited about before we dig into that Colossal King Corner?
No, I mean, no. I'm trying to think what else.
Oh, I got a quick thing. I haven't watched it yet, but Brer's mentioning Cobra Kai got released on DVD, even though they said it never would. And I don't know why DVD and not Blu-ray, but there's a season 1 and 2 Cobra Kai pack that comes with a Daniel LaRusso headband and a Johnny Lawrence headband in the wrapper. I haven't opened it yet. And it has like some, I just dropped it, but it has some special features like something about fight choreography, Easter eggs. I think there's gag reel, cast chemistry reads. Oh, I guess there's a bunch of stuff exploring the musical identities of Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do with composers. Oh shit. Making faces and stingray reel. Anyway, so this should be fun. I might save it for I'll probably save it for like a warm up for when the season 3 comes out. But
awesome.
Yeah, that was just a little fun thing. Long walk, short drink related.
All my stuff is King related recently, media wise, that I would talk about, I guess. I did start. They had made this Ghostbusters game back in the early 2000s for Xbox and PlayStation 3. That the story of the game and the dialogue for the cutscenes in the game were written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, and they got all of the original cast back to do the voice of the Ghostbusters. So it's considered like Annie Potts even and Bill Murray. Like Bill Murray doesn't do any fucking thing like that, and they got him back to do it. But it is as far as Ghostbuster fans are concerned, it's considered like the unofficial Ghostbusters 3 with that full cast because. So I started playing that, and they did a remastered version of that. So just like they reboot movies and television shows, for video games, they do what's called remaster, where they take an old game and like apply the new like graphics and everything to it. So it looks all polished and new on the new systems. So I started that. That was pretty fun. All my other media is Stephen King related, pretty much. So
I guess we got to get into a King corner then.
Yeah.
Honey, come on over here, sugar buns. This machine just called me an asshole.
Where do you want to start? So I guess I will just say that, of course, we saw Dr. Sleep, but I also I did watch the Shining miniseries and rewatched like the Shining movie to go along with that, and 3 episodes into Castle Rock.
I think we're 2 episodes into Castle Rock. So she just saw Ace Merrill back from the dead in the rearview mirror.
Okay, yeah, I know where that is because we just watched the next one last night, so I know kind of where that picks up.
So, and I am reading He had a short story come out last fall called Elevation.
That I didn't. Yeah, I heard
And
that.
I'm listening to that right now on audiobook. It's really good.
Oh, cool.
I have on reserve, I'm just waiting for it to get in, is the audiobook for The Institute, which is the novel that came out this most recently, this fall.
Yeah, and that's maybe a loose sequel to Firestarter.
I believe so.
That's
Yep.
cool.
So,
That's awesome.
but Elevation's really good. That takes place in Castle Rock, actually.
Nice.
It's about a man, the main character, has this problem where he is losing weight drastically, like 1 to 2 pounds a day. And it's one of the big complaints of Stephen King later is that he's just recycling stories that he's already done. And so I'm sure there's plenty of people who's like, that sounds like Thinner.
Yeah. That crossed my mind, even though I've never actually read Thinner, only seen previews for the movie in the 90s.
But the thing about it is, like, his mass, his body size does not change. And also, like, if he picks up a chair and gets on the scale, he's the same weight. It doesn't matter, like, if he's naked or wearing clothes or holding a person, he still weighs the same amount when he gets on the scale. And then by later that day, he'll be a pound less, and a pound less the next morning, and a pound less by that following evening. Like, he just like is continually losing weight. So, yeah. And he has this feud going with his neighbors, who are these like married lesbians that also are being kind of ostracized by the town of Castle Rock because they're married lesbians, and just a lot of stuff that the kind of synopsis, or he's like, there's a lot of bad in this world, and people could just use a little bit of good, or like something along those lines. So it's starting to get a little heartwarming, which is very nice. He's befriended the lesbians that are not feuding anymore. And yeah, just a really good, it's a good story so far. But that taking place in Castle Rock, we also started Castle Rock season 2, which that first episode, it's not until the last like 5 minutes. That's when it got like, when she like,
well, I guess we'll spoil it, right? So we'll just spoil
we can spoil it. That's when she kills Ace Merrill.
Oh,
like,
yes.
with the
Oh,
ice
my
cream
God,
scoop.
that was intense. Fuck.
Yeah, and it just kept going, and they kept like, the sound kept going, and like way more violent than anything in season 1, I think. I feel like, anyways. So, and it feel like it's not even the same town or the group of people. Like, it's...
Yeah, it has a similar vibe, I guess, as a show, sort of, but not even that close. Like, I feel like as I'm picturing the season 1, I sort of imagine more of the blue you'll often see in like dark movies to make things like a good example of like not that is like Seven. Like Seven is, there's no blues, and I shouldn't say no blues, but like that's a big part of how they made it seem so almost black and white. Or The Crow, really, as I know for sure they did no blues. That's just like a classic thing you do at nighttime. But this feels more like, I don't know. So I think about that first series, and I see that a little bit somehow. This little like kind of blue cast, not people, but haze or something. And this one is much, so it doesn't actually even look the same in that regard. Like I was starting to say, I guess I'm backtracking. It doesn't quite feel like the same show, and it's certainly a whole new group of characters, and you don't see any of the Mellow Tiger. You do see, maybe that's in the episode I just watched, but even that
it's in
different.
Castle Rock. Like there are some things that happen in Castle Rock, and they reference Jerusalem's Lot or Salem's Lot in there.
Are they
the Marston
there,
house?
They're actually in Salem's Lot, right? Instead of Castle Rock, or no?
Yeah, but no, because the Emporium Glorium is definitely in Castle Rock.
Oh, and that's like from Needful Things, right? Which I don't know yet. Okay.
Well, the Emporium Glorium was Pop Merrill's store that he had in Castle Rock. He was Ace Merrill's uncle in the books. But
that character exists in the books, like somewhere.
Pop Merrill?
Yeah. The Tim Robbins
but not
character?
anything like this Tim Robbins character. Like,
oh, they kind of changed it? Or
yeah, well, Pop Merrill was just this like miser who owned a junk shop in Castle Rock, who supposedly had a ton of money, but just like because he was a miser, like just kind of squirreled it away and was kind of this. He had power over the town because he had money, and was just like this. I guess this is a little similar. He just knows all the goings on of the town, you know, and is kind of has his finger in all of it, you know.
The Tim Robbins version seems a little bit more like people like him.
Yeah.
Generally, I guess. Maybe not, though.
But it feels like he does bad things, or there were bad things that he's capable of. At least, you know, like they make a reference where they're like, you know, they're just his cops. Like he's got, I heard that in the second episode. Like, so he obviously has cops on the payroll.
Right, and those were the ones that like grabbed his.
Yep.
What that would be his adopted son, Abdi.
Yep.
And yeah, that was intense.
But yeah, it totally it does feel like a different show to me, and I don't know now. Is this show every season is going to be like a different version of Castle Rock, or because they kind of set up the parallel versions of Castle Rock in the first season, where that's where the
like an actual different timeline, possibly.
Yeah, like an alter, and that's a big thing in Stephen King's universe, that there's infinite amount, you know, the multiverse. There's an infinite amount of versions of this Earth, and so, yeah,
Well, I don't want to spoil things. I think it's possible it's the same, though maybe not. Honestly, I'm not sure. Yeah, I've been enjoying it
to see
so far.
one character. Just show me one character from the first season, and that will help. You know, like
yeah. Well, of course, I haven't seen Misery the movie, and I haven't yet read Misery the book, but I'm aware of it enough in just the clips I've seen online, or not online, just in the world, like since it came out, whenever that was in the probably early 90s. But this characterization of it. Lizzie Kaplan's version of the character seems like it's just some sort of emaciated version of the Kathy Bates. Like she has the same affect. It's kind of amazing.
The gait of her walking.
Yeah, she even has a walk.
It's perfect. It's just like how Kathy Bates. She nails it. You're exactly right. Like a skinny version of the Kathy Bates version of
It's incredible. Like, I mean, I've seen her in stuff, and I've had a crush on her. Sometimes I don't exactly have a crush on her as this character, but I'm in awe of her, like what she's doing with it.
She was in Empire Records, right? She was the one who tried to commit suicide.
Oh shit! Oh, I think
the bald headed one.
I think you might be right. Now I gotta know. I'm checking my.
And she was totally naked when she was in what's the HBO vampire show? True Blood.
True Blood? Oh, man. See, maybe I didn't know any of this. So she...
I'm a sleazebag, so don't worry.
Oh, man. Yeah, me too. This is terrible. So let me just preface this by, I know this is terrible, but the thing, like, she has this monologue about blowjobs in this movie with Kirsten Dunst. It's like a bride movie. Anyway, she's sitting next to Horatio Sands on the plane. And then she just like goes through this whole thing. I can't get into it, but because I can't, I would blush. But like, yeah, it's. I was just like, whoa.
She give Horatio Sands a blowjob then?
No, what she really does is she just like talks up this thing, and he thinks like, oh my god, this chick, and then she just like orders a drink, and she's just like fucking with him, like in a mean way. Like you don't see him before or after.
Right.
It's partially to like establish that character like that, who is very manipulative. But anyway, it's a really hot scene, and she's in. I've seen her in some things. She can be very attractive. Let's see. So no, that might not be so. Freaks and Geeks, I guess I saw, but I don't remember. That was like her first thing. Smallville, I didn't see that. Mean Girls, she's in Mean Girls. I've always meant to see Mean Girls. Crashing. Cloverfield, she's in Cloverfield. But I don't think... True Blood. I'm glad to hear about that nudity. I'll be checking that out.
Yeah, definitely
Hot
check
Tub
that
Time
out.
Machine.
Yep.
What is the show I was talking about? I don't even know. Oh man, she's been at this for a little while, but not quite so long. Bachelorette is the movie I was thinking of. Where she talks to Horatio Sands. She's in New Girls some. Now You See Me. Masters of Sex is, I saw maybe one of those episodes. She was... I guess she was in The Disaster Artist as Lizzie Kaplan. That's kind of funny. I don't remember that. Anyway, she's amazing in this. I was just, as I was reading through the IMDb filmography, I'm reminded, a little shout out to John from the Pod Bros Network, who did that, who does that always, gets lost in it, who I know listens. So hi, John. They gave us a shout out. They do this thing called Spooptacular in October where they do 31 days of horror movies. So they every day awesome. They put out a podcast. They did it last year and this year. And I happened to I had listened to that whole Jean-Claude Van Damme cast run, except for the movies that he wasn't in. I'm now listening to those. But I just got so used to listening to John and Jeff talk about movies that I missed them. And so I'm like, all right, I'll try this Halloween Spooptacular. So I did 2018. I rolled over into 2019. I'm listening to the Children of the Corn episode, and they're talking about us. And I was like, what the fuck? I almost crashed the car. Anyway, so John always gets lost in the IMDb filmography, as I just did. But awesome. Yeah, Lizzie Kaplan doing amazing stuff on this show, as is pretty much everybody.
Robin Tooney is the woman from Empire Records who plays the one that tried to commit suicide.
Oh,
so
I'm sure I would recognize her. Was she in The Craft? That one?
Yeah.
No.
No, but that's not the right person.
That's not who you're thinking of?
It
I don't
can't
know who Robin
be.
Tooney is.
Robin Tooney. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, well, The Craft.
She's in The Mentalist. She is in The Craft. She must be.
That's for some reason what I was picturing.
Yeah.
I think she's like, I don't know.
Anyway,
good. Are you liking it though? Really, this new Castle Rock?
It has not grabbed me like the first season did. We're going to keep watching it, of course, because they're up to like season or episode 7 now, right? Like,
oh yeah, I wasn't sure quite how far they were, or how far behind we are.
I mean, we'll definitely watch it and get through it, but it just has not grabbed me yet. I like this. I knew as soon as they showed the like ground, and there was something about the ground when he like fell into that thing. I'm like, oh, are they going to do like a Pet Cemetery type thing? I don't know if that's what it is. And if they explain, if they have some kind of idea in the 3rd episode, like don't spoil it, but
yeah, I won't say anything.
But the Marston House thing, that was really a nice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, that's intriguing, whatever that's about. Like, she was down there and she basically encounters 2 people fucking in like a dungeon or something.
Yeah.
And they're just saying fuck and stuff like that. Like, I don't remember that from last season. Is that what they did then too, or?
I don't know if they swore as much. I don't know.
That's seeing that question. A lot, like on FX shows. Like the Bride and I watched it's not a prequel. It's like another. It's a, what do you call it? It's like a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy called The Mayans, and between last season and this season, now that's just like flat out, it might as well be on HBO. Like they just say fuck all the time. Yeah, it's like that stuff on cable television is really different. Mr. Robot, we watched Mr. Robot, fucks all of a sudden this season. That's crazy.
Wow.
You got it. Someday you got to watch Mr. Robot. That's not like me suggesting you watch something that I like so that we can talk about it. It's of the things that we watch, the show that I think you would like because you're you, not because
Okay.
if that makes any sense. I also would say like if you watch the pilot and you're like, it's like I don't think you're gonna grow to like love it if you don't love the pilot. But yeah, it's a really smart, really stylish show about like really smart people, and it's kind of like Fight Club meets Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but it's also like its own thing.
And that's got the guy
Rami Malek from Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
That's such a cool show. It's the last season now, so there'll only be 4
is
seasons.
Christian Slater in that?
Fucking A, he is. He's awesome. Oh, he's great. He's after the first season not in it enough for my taste, but that's saying something because I probably just want him to be in every scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a cool show. And they took for a while, like the guy that created it was literally directing every episode, like in maybe the second or third season, and now they're sharing it a little more. But yeah, I just think that you would really dig
great
that.
Control, though. I mean, you definitely are. You get to express your vision that way. It
really feels like it looks different than other shows. It's like it's like, you know how Kubrick films have that really centrifugally focused thing. Yeah. Like this guy's thing is a little bit more mixed, but a lot of it is kind of like off. So like instead of like having the lead room in front of a person when they talk, he'll often put them like with the lead room behind their head. It's like all this. He's got his own style, but it's different than the conventional style. It's just exciting to watch in that regard.
Put these down.
Dexter.
I did, yeah.
It's
a little
actually,
bit of it.
When I say a little, it's only a little in that like Dexter would only kill he would only kill really bad people, and that's how he dealt with being a serial killer. So Elliot is a hacker, the main character, and he'll only hack people that are like doing bad shit.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I don't want to give any more away, but yeah, fucks are flying everywhere, including on Castle Rock.
Yeah, and I mean it's still good. Like I'm very intrigued. I just don't think I'm deep enough into it yet to like be invested. I'm intrigued at this point. Tim Robbins, like I want to know more about what's going on with him. I want to I like the characters that they're setting up, you know. And it's kind of exciting. I did see a headline that was like episode 7 finally brought Tim Robbins back to Shawshank, and it was totally worth it.
Whoa.
Like, yeah. So
I hope he doesn't have to crawl through a river of shit backwards.
Oh man, wouldn't that be fantastic? Like,
oh wow, that's interesting. Yeah. I guess I hadn't really thought too much about whether I liked it. I've just been so like enthralled with oh wow, look what she's doing, like just like Annie Wilkes for the other movie, or like, oh my god, he's Meryl. So I'm still in that sort of phase. But in this last one we were watching, I could tell like the bride she's just like, I'm not loving this like I did, and this may be an early transition or whatever, but she literally has said on more than one occasion about Dr. Sleep, I love that movie. She never says that about these type of movies.
I'm just gonna say, like, we're recording this on a Thursday, not our normal Wednesday, because the only chance I put off going to see this movie, for no other reason, and this is weird, I just didn't feel like going to the movies, and so I put it off. And Monday was the last chance that I would have had, because I had plans on Tuesday if we were going to record on Wednesday. And I called Dave and said, hey, can we just kick the can on recording a day so I can watch the movie on Wednesday? And he did. And I still, yesterday, I was like, oh, I don't want to go to this. I don't want to go see this movie.
I never do anything. I understand that feeling completely.
Yeah. And so I like literally drug myself to the theater and got the ticket, and like, and I got to put because we had the bucket and the cup.
Oh yeah. The refillable thing.
And so I was like, and I got to piss, which means I got to go to the concession stand and ask them if they can hold the bucket and cup, because I'm not taking that into that filthy ass bathroom. And then I go into the bathroom, and then I got to get back in line and get my bucket and cup and have it filled up. And yeah, but I sit down, and then we're assigned seats, right? Because they converted over to assigned seats. And I like my favorite position in the theater is pretty much the back right. I like to be looking to my left to the screen, right? Like slightly, just ever so slightly. And I picked, there were two people in the back row. So I went to the next row and I picked one seat in. Now, these aren't like benches or anything. They're individual seats. So I picked one seat in so that way I wouldn't have anybody want to sit next to me. Well, right before the movie starts, this guy comes walking in and sits down, not right next to me, but there was one seat in between us. Like he picked that
that's
seat.
weird.
Like, weird, right?
Yeah.
And he definitely did not. I didn't pick my seat with knowing his was there.
Yeah.
Right? Like he picked mine. Like he picked after I had picked mine. And so he kind of sat next to me, but it was fine because like we laughed at all the same things and like gasped at all the same things, like the references, I mean, and my energy level and attitude was a complete 180 by the end of that movie. Like,
awesome.
like I sat through the credits, like, please let there be some scene, like something more. Like, it was so good. It was like, I was like, how would you sum this up? And it might not necessarily be like the best Stephen King movie, but it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations. Like,
that's fair. I haven't read the book in a while. It was actually probably the second Stephen King book that I listened to, I guess. So, I think The Shining was first. Though I couldn't swear to you that it wasn't Dr. Sleep then The Shining for me. Because I knew The Shining movie. And I think it was like 2013 when it came out. I'm really not sure which was first. But so it's been that long. So it's like before I started to do the chronology. And so I didn't remember a ton about it. And so the whole thing with like the people in the caravans and the steam, like I had forgotten all of that. And I just sort of remembered that it was Danny Torrance grown up, and I didn't remember. I mean, I remembered liking it because it was like after that I was like, well, I think after that I did on writing, and then I ended up going back to Carrie. But yeah, and so I was like encouraged by the trailer. Like I was encouraged by like that the way that it seemed this like direct sequel to The Shining and had those recreations. I also am realizing like I actively like Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
I maybe have a crush on him. If he has a beard, forget about it.
He absolutely blew me away in this movie. Like he had this like blue collar everyday man like talk, and I don't know. He just sold it. Totally sold it. Like
I liked him so much. Like even as this like profoundly, like he starts as this really flawed character, but I don't know. I was just on board for it. But going in, the bride was, we were like shopping and stuff throughout the day ahead of time. And the cashier at the grocery store was like, what are you guys going to do? She's like, we're going to the movies. And they're like, what are you going to see? And she's like, Dr. Sleep. And then the cashier is like, oh, you want to hang out with me here instead? And she's like, I know. So she was not excited about it. Needless to like by that. But like she came out of it and she's like, I loved that. And I heard her talking to her dad later, and that's how they talk. Like when we were talking about the podcasting when you're out here, that's how they talk about everything. That's their shorthand is like dum-dums and this, that, or the other. They say terribly nice things about you, not to your face kind of thing. Yeah. So if you're present, you're going to be spoken of kind of with a joking attitude. So she was like, but she told him, she's like, I was going into it like being a brat about the whole thing. But she's like, I loved it, Dad. So I think part of what it is, part of why she loved it is because it was written and like adapted and directed by the guy who did Haunting of Hill House from Netflix, which she adores.
And he did Gerald's Game also.
Oh shit. Okay.
He directed that.
Oh, I
as
think
well,
he might be.
Which is,
I'm gonna say he's married to Carla, who starred in that. Maybe.
I know who you're
No,
talking about.
he's not. He's married to this lady who looks exactly like a young Angelina Jolie, who's in Haunting of Hill House. That's what it is. But yeah, I'll get his name here in a second.
So there's a lot of similar, like, and after knowing that really made sense. And The Haunting of Hill House, like, I know that has a great reputation, and so it does not surprise me that this was so good. But I really feel like it did the impossible, where it was a sequel to both the book and the movie, which are both drastically different from each other. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It does a great job of really being a sequel to both of them. All the changes that they made from the book, like, there were things in there that I was like, I can't believe they put this in this movie. Like, I was like, how are they going to explain steam and the process of harvesting steam, and like there's so much exposition that goes on in the book to get that point across. They nailed it. And then
it's like stealing people's shine, basically, right?
What's that?
It's kind of like stealing their shine, like
which is this. It's the same. They're psychic vampires, essentially.
Yeah,
like, they're feeding on that emotion and that psychic energy, just like Pennywise does. Honestly,
right? Yeah, because it gets stronger when there's fear involved.
Yep.
Fuck that scene where they kill that kid around the RV.
I can't believe that they
horrible.
put that got put in a movie.
Yeah, it was upsetting.
Yeah.
I heard that I maybe it was on, I don't know where I heard this or saw it, but I guess the kid who played that character, like, he just like did what we saw, and what's so affecting. And then I guess just like hopped up after the take and waltzed off, and everyone else was like all disturbed, and like all the other actors were like, fuck, what just happened? The kid's like, where's craft services?
Oh, shit.
But that is a really upsetting scene. I know
Absolutely.
It's intentionally so, but yeah, it was. It all kind of came back to me, like, what the events were, but the way that they unfolded was surprisingly effective. Like, it could have been way more cheesy. Like, at time, like when Rose the Hat was like, hovering over the whole everything. That was like a little cheesy, but she was. So
I thought
hot,
that was a
didn't
great
care.
representation, though, of like what she was capable of.
Yes, and all of that stuff that they did, like in the mind palaces or whatever, like was it was just like wildly well done. Mike Flanagan is the guy's name that I couldn't remember.
Mike Flanagan, the director. I'm trying to see who plays Rose the Hat. Rebecca Ferguson.
Oh, I looked her up immediately. I was more than charmed by her in this. I was like, who is that lady? What else can I see her in?
Yep.
She was very alluring, just perfectly cast.
Yep. She absolutely did a great job. The little girl did a great job. Yeah, I agree with you. Stephen King is notorious for hating Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining, which a lot of people love.
Oh yeah,
me being one of them, you being one of them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I also, though, am a huge fan of the book, and I appreciate Stephen King's perspective. I think is summed up essentially like Jack Nicholson kind of played Jack Torrance as being crazy from the first frame.
Right. Yeah.
I
just rewatched it, and that was very pronounced to me this time around.
Yeah.
Like everything, like he's in the car, like driving there with the family, and he's just like, I don't know. He's like up to 11. Like, I can't remember what it is. It's like, it's something really innocuous about just driving.
He wants to drink the whole time. I think
there's that too.
I think he constantly wants a drink, and that's how he's playing it, but it comes off as him being crazy.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, it's like Wendy says something to him, like, we got to get there. It's going to be we're not even like freaking out like she does later. She's like, oh, we should get, I don't know. It's not this at all. I'm just trying to think of anything that she says that he parrots back, or she's like, oh, we're gonna get there soon, Danny, before it gets dark. And he's just driving. He's like, we're gonna get there soon, Danny, before it gets dark. I'm just like, what in the fuck are you even doing? But so I also watched. There's a documentary, 35-minute documentary that Vivian Kubrick made, his daughter, like while they were doing this, shooting this for a year. So there's some cool stuff in there, and there's this interview with Jack Nicholson. He's not really talking about this topic directly, not in the same context we are, but he's talking about this thing about naturalistic acting, and he's like, you go through this thing where you're trying to make it really real. He's like, the people just haven't really seen it real enough. And then you end up working with someone like Stanley who says like, yeah, it's real, but it's not interesting. And so when he said that, I started to think, oh, I think that's probably just like what they're going for. And I watched it. It was like, it's such a cool movie. And he is fun and interesting to watch, but it is so over the top. It's like, I could easily imagine everything he was doing in a stage production without it being changed at all. Like he wouldn't have to project, like he could just do what he was doing and it would read the same way. So I understand. I guess I took that point to heart more than I had in the past, because I just, my thought has always been I didn't know enough about the nuances of the book to separate it from the film, because I think I watched, because that's what I think. I can't remember if I watched that or like read Dr. Sleep, then like watched The Shining, and then read the Shining book or whatever it was. I can't remember that order, but it was all mixed together. And I remember knowing that criticism at that time, and this is like 5 or 6 years ago, whatever. And I was like, I don't know. It's like, it felt the same to me. It's like, I know it doesn't end the same way with the boiler, but I guess that's one of the other big points too, is that for him, it's supposed to be about Jack Torrance falling apart, succumbing to, trying to fight to maintain his sort of soul and all of that. And then also the boiler as this perfect metaphor for having to keep from like exploding, I guess, or like, so to have that missing with the snow metaphor or whatever instead, he didn't like. So what's sort of interesting here, in light of how we're talking about them together,
but then that's how Dr. Sleep ends. They bring the boiler thing back. Yeah, because in the Dr. Sleep book, they go back to the ruins of the Overlook Hotel, and it's essentially just an overlook at that point. Like it's like a highway pull off, you know,
which I didn't remember. The bride was reading that for me in trivia, but before she started reading the trivia, I was like, that's everything I remember about the book. I was like, but I don't have a strong, like, it wouldn't, but I said that thing. It's like, it seems like this sequel to both that movie and the Shining book, just like we're talking about. But I was saying, it's like, I can't remember for sure. It was like, I could see it not having ended in the Overlook, or maybe it did. I can't remember. She's like, how could you not remember? I was like, I don't know. I just don't. But then she read the thing, which was what you just told me. I was like, yeah, I guess I don't remember that.
It was all smart choices. Again, I was talking to Ash. I was like, I really think that these great adaptations are made by these fans of Stephen King who, like, his early adaptations and the ones that started to really be bad were trying to put what he wrote verbatim on a movie. That just doesn't work that way. He doesn't write. He writes for internal monologues, right? Like internal dialogue in your head. Mm-hmm. Like it's just like that. I feel like a lot of his writing, there's so much exposition and so much extra in it. Like it's just like this. It's perfect. That's why they fit so well for audiobooks, because it's like they just have this internal dialogue to them.
Yeah, you get a lot about what people are feeling and this sort of backstory about why they feel that way and all kinds of stuff.
And they're written like what your voice in your head would sound like. Like
talking to themselves like kind of.
Like a thought, right? Like And so
I like that. They read like a thought.
But this new batch of directors who have been lifelong fans of Stephen King are really good at synthesizing his essence from the book, but making good movies. You know what I mean? Like they also have the talent of making good film. And so then they put those two things together and you get these super intelligent choices that even when you're reading the book, this idea of, because in the book, she doesn't go find him. Like he arranges via the chalkboard their first meeting.
Oh yeah,
and goes to her town and she skips school. And all of this, I'm reading this and I'm like, this would never happen in real life. Like there's no there's no fucking way any of this would be happening in real life. And so in the movie, they acknowledge that by having her seek him out, and she just shows up one day in his life. And that is perfect. Like it just makes so much more sense and really helps support the strength and independence of her character and what she's capable of.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I was just thinking, before, I don't want to get into every story beat, but there is a single sentence that I think just contextualizes this for anyone who might not have known. So it's like, years following, this is it from IMDb, years following the events of The Shining, now adult Dan Torrance, who is the kid in The Shining, must protect a young girl with similar powers from a cult known as the True Knot, who prey on children with powers to remain immortal. So the girl we're talking about is the one that Abra, who has like off the charts, like abilities like Danny does or did.
Yep. And this group of people who travel around, they're gypsies essentially. And in the book, through that exposition, you find out they allude to it a little bit in the movie, but they have been going for centuries or millennia, essentially.
Yeah.
Feeding on these people who shine and collecting this steam that is released as as these people are tortured. And they're kept in these modified thermoses, and that it's the only way they can continue to survive. But as long as they keep doing it, they'll age super slow. They're kind of immortal. They're not human. I love how when Snakebite Andy, they all have these cool names. Snakebite Andy and Rose the Hat and
Barry the Chunk.
Barry the Chunk and Grandpa Flip and Crow Daddy.
Yeah.
And all these great names. Anyways, Snakebite Andy asked Rose the Hat. She's like, because Snakebite Andy has, so that there's two options when they find somebody with psychic powers. Well, I guess there's not two if they're a kid. If they're a kid, they're going to harvest them and get their steam. But after they get to a certain point, she explains it in the movie that becoming an adult really like it taints the steam. It makes the steam like not good and not something that will satiate what they need to survive.
Yeah. It's almost like they're food. They're like hungry and withering away, dying if they don't get this steam.
Yeah, literal vampires. But she asked, Snakebite Andy asks her, she's like, are we still human? And Rose just looks at her and she's like, does it matter? You know, like, and you're just like, oh, that's such a great answer. But yeah, I really feel, when I read Dr. Sleep, I had read The Shining right before that.
Oh, cool. You did this like last year, right? Or recently.
And I really feel like, I know I've said this on the episodes before, but I really think the movie nailed it. The Shining is about trying to deal with life while being a drunk. And Dr. Sleep is about dealing with life being a sober drunk. Like it deals with sobriety.
And recovery or whatever that looks like.
And the movie does such a better job of like hammering that home. Like his speech when he gets his 8-year pin.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, you know, my dad would want to stand here. He wanted to be here. And I get to, and like, you know, he's this character which Ewan McGregor plays so well. That's super intelligent and super powerful, has this super powerful psychic ability, but really is soft-spoken and not, you know, has done bad things. He spent some time as an alcoholic and then finds this town. He takes the bus as high as it'll go, like to the end of the line, basically.
Yeah.
Just because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. And just by happenstance finds a nice man who takes a chance on him.
Billy Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know why it's getting me now. It hit me like sometimes these things do, where I just like teared up. Like there wasn't even something he said, but it was something where you were getting from the character of Billy Freeman. He's like, I know this look. And he basically just like encounters Danny on the street.
Yep.
And offers him essentially a place to stay and a job working at this like tiny town thing that they're building. He just kind of gives him this chance. And I don't know, just like I don't know if it's just the kindness of it. I don't know why. That whole gesture in that scene where they just shake hands and they don't even say much. That really, like it, I started to cry. I'm almost crying thinking about it.
The next scene is like him paying his first 2 weeks rent and like, oh man, just
so
like
sweet. I don't know.
And he goes down that night. He's like, I'm downstairs on the first floor if you ever need anything. And he goes that night. He's like,
he says, I need help.
Yeah. And he's like, you said, my look. What did you mean by that? And he's like, just suffering and struggling. And he's like, yeah, I think I need help. He's like, all right, come on in. Let's talk about it. Yeah. And that's his response to it. Like,
I don't know why that really like gets me. But yeah, it was just so moving. I think that's part of it. It's like this movie has genuine heart. And in intrigue and style and all that stuff too. It's not just hollow.
It's talk about heart. The whole point, like the whole Dr. Sleep thing comes, he ends up getting a job as an orderly in a hospice center.
Yeah.
And the cat, who is also at the hospice center, has this ability that cat goes and sleeps with the person if they're going to die that night.
Yeah.
And he uses that. God, the first
I was just thinking about that first guy. Like you basically sit with him and he knows he's going to die and he's scared and he's emotional. Oh,
yep. And Dan to help ease him goes into his mind and helps him remember a pleasant memory. And it helps ease him into the next plane, because Danny Torrance has firsthand evidence that there is something after this life because he keeps getting visited by
oh, that's right, the people from the Overlook, the ghosts from the Overlook,
because they're so hungry. And man, this movie did such a great job of explaining all that stuff with this exposition. And like Dick Halloran, who gets killed in the movie but not in the book. They don't even touch on that. They don't even allude to it, but he keeps showing up.
Yeah, they handled it the same way. Like the bad ghosts show up to him. Dick Halloran. So I think in the book probably he was still alive, and they would meet. But in the
he's coming back as a ghost. In the movie, he's coming back as a ghost to help Danny learn how to deal with his powers, and he teaches him how to trap these ghosts essentially in his mind. And that's another great question that has a great answer in this movie, where he asked Dick Halloran, he's like, what happens to them inside those boxes? And Dick Halloran just looks at him and he's like, do you care?
Yeah.
But he explains how these ghosts, because the Overlook was essentially expunged of all of that and left to go derelict, because Danny had so much power, they literally are drawn to him to try to pull some of this psychic energy. So you have ghosts that are eating psychic energy. The Overlook is you find out is also this like drain on the energy. And I like how they finally give the Overlook like its own presence. Like that's what's possessing Jack Torrance. That's what's possessing Danny Torrance is the Overlook itself, and because the book says that in name, but I felt like Stanley Kubrick's movie really didn't.
No, I haven't just rewatched it. They don't really get the closest is like you really get that, if anything, at the very end when you see the picture of him and you realize like he's always somehow been there. Like the guy says, he got
sucked in. Yeah.
But so I had just so I just watched the miniseries because I was like, I'm not gonna have time to listen to the book or make time or whatever. But I was curious about the miniseries. I thought this would be a good time to watch it. But I was especially interested because the DVD that exists. So this is made in 1997. It's got commentary from Stephen King, from the director Mick Garris, who also did the Stand miniseries. And various other people involved in it, and for
Awesome.
each of the 3 parts. And so it's like this.
Wow.
It's a 3-part. So it's like each of them was 90 minutes. So it's this, a really long telling that was written by King. So like this is his version of his book. After The Stand was so successful, I guess they're like, "What do you want to know?" He's like, "Well, I've always wanted to do The Shining," and so they were able to get some crazy shit on TV. It feels like a TV movie. I'll say that. But anyway, I bring it up because that was so fresh for me. I feel like it was that was how I was able to recognize the things that I knew were not from Dr. Sleep necessarily.
Yeah.
That was how I was able to realize, like, oh, they are taking this stuff from somewhere else. But it's so some of the dialogue that I recognized from the miniseries was like in the boiler room, but now in Dr. Sleep. It was cool, and the Steven Weber part was actually a draw for me about the miniseries. His tour de force performance of it as an audiobook, and by the end, I will say, like, I thought the last like 20 minutes or whatever, he was incredible because he has all this makeup he's working with too as he really descends into madness. But so there's stuff in that movie where Tony, in Stephen King's adaptation of his own book, Tony is like an apparition that appears to Danny that is really rather cheesy. And I don't think this is in the book, but like he basically at the end has a scene where Danny is graduating from college or high school. I'm not sure which, maybe high school. And Tony, it's the same character as played. Tony is like, so basically realized that Tony, who's warning him to not go to the Overlook and all this stuff, is actually his grown-up self.
Gotcha.
And at the high school graduation, like his dad is there, looking not fucked up and like proud of him as a ghost, I guess, to where he's like, and I think I actually took a bunch of notes I won't bust out, but I think one of the main I remember was for, I don't know if Stephen King said this or Mick Garris, the director, but something like in their mind is about the redemption of Jack Torrance,
right?
Which is not something that would ever even occur to me. But I feel like they kind of did that in the Dr. Sleep as well. We're trying to like redeem Jack Torrance and like not make him this axe wielding maniac, but rather this loving father who was struggling to maintain himself amidst the pull of those spirits in the Overlook and stuff. Anyway,
can we talk about some of the direct homages though to the original Shining that happened in there? Like, how about when right after he goes to AA, he meets the doctor from who also played Gerald from Gerald's Game.
Okay.
Because this guy likes to recycle his actors.
Yeah, I recognize that character actor. I can't think of his name.
But the interview room, like his office where he's interviewing Danny Torrance, is identical to the interview room that Jack Torrance at the beginning of The Shining. Like, it's set up exactly the same. The shots are the same. The windows behind him.
I caught that.
He even does those hand
really?
Like he does a couple of them. Have you seen Room 237?
Yeah, a few years ago. I don't remember
the conspiracy theory documentary.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the things they pointed out. Like he keeps moving his hands and making these symbols that are like I don't know.
Mr. Ullman, the guy that, or Jack Torrance in that scene.
In that scene, the guy who's interviewing Jack Torrance.
Yeah,
like,
his name is Ullman, which I always remembered because you never see. It was like Tracy Ullman and this guy. It's spelled like my name and everything. So it always stuck out to me. But yeah, I can picture that guy.
He puts his hands together in certain ways that are not natural. That like they're arguably
kind of picture
natural.
that.
Yeah. And that guy did it. Like he just does a little brief one, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
that's amazing.
such a deep cut for for it to be in there. And
I didn't quite catch on to the nuances. I did not catch on to the nuances of that. For me, what it was, and I never would have guessed it was the same room or replicated. It was actually the shot on Ewan McGregor's character, because it's kind of so this was something I didn't realize till recently rewatching The Shining, because I thought it was something about my DVD, but like The Shining is not like a 2:3. It's not like a widescreen movie. It's a 4:3, like just square.
Yep.
Like that's how it was shot in 1980. And so, so the framing of certain things is a little bit different than it might be if it were a widescreen movie. And so for what it was about that scene for me was the framing of the shot on Ewan McGregor, because I hadn't yet rewatched The Shining. I rewatched it after seeing Dr. Sleep, the Kubrick movie. And it was that shot on him. I was like, that seems like an homage to the Shining. And then on the way home, we're reading it, and it was IMDb trivia, and it was basically everything you said, except for like they didn't catch on to the hand signals. You should contribute that to IMDb.
Yeah. Oh man.
But that kind of stuff was exciting. And then like when Rose the Hat is like walking up the stairs at him, she's doing like the same hand gestures as when Jack is coming up the stairs at Wendy.
Yep. And he's kind of like swinging the axe just a little bit, like she was
with the bat. Yeah.
And the drive up to the Overlook is the same shot as the drive from the opening credits of the thing.
Yes. I caught the vibe of that in the opening, but I didn't realize till.
But it's at night.
I think IMDb says it's the actual same footage, just treated digitally.
Oh,
it's
really?
Like they said they recreated a lot of things, but the blood and the pouring into the hallway, and a few of the shots leading up to the Overlook, they treated day for night and then added snow. Well, actually, maybe that's later when they go back to it, like at the end. That stuff was so exciting, though, to catch on to as a viewer. Like you're just like, ooh, yeah.
There was a ton of Stephen King references to the Tet, like the bus lines are named Tet, and in the Dark Tower series, they form what's called the Tet Corporation.
Oh,
Lamerick Industries is one of the one of the companies that are a front for the Crimson King, who's the antagonist in the Dark Tower series.
Oh shit! Randall Flagg's not the antagonist.
He's the first lieutenant of the.
Oh
Crimson
shit!
King.
He's like, okay, wow.
Yeah, he's like second in command.
That's hard to imagine.
Yeah,
this Crimson King sounds like Satan himself, basically.
He is Satan himself.
Yeah,
he's Stephen King's version of Satan.
Wow.
And then the second time you see Dick Halloran, when he comes to the hospice and Danny goes to talk to him, one of the first words out of his mouth are like, "Ka is a wheel." And that's a direct line from the Dark Tower series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So that stuff would not have been in Dr. Sleep. Certainly not the Dick Halloran part, right?
No, I don't think so. No, and not calling the bus lines the Tet buses or anything like that. Of course, there are Dark Tower references in all of his books, but nothing that blatant like that. I really love they really nailed the vibe too with using the actors and actresses that looked just enough like Shelley Duvall and like Jack Nicholson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was Henry Thomas, like from E.T. like little kid.
Really?
Is his name Elliot in E.T.? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
I don't think I would have known that had I not seen him in Haunting of Hill House as someone this age.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm sure, partially the relationship he has that led to this. But yeah. I wasn't expecting to see, because like in the preview you see like the ride in the big wheel and stuff, and I figured they would just show stuff like that but never faces. So I was really surprised to see those scenes initially. But yeah, I thought they're very serviceable. Yeah, so cool to see like so many of the shot recreations as Danny goes through the Overlook, like basically mirroring the stuff with his dad. Yeah.
And I love that the aged Overlook, like they did, it looked great. Like it looked, and his typewriter was still there, and
Right,
like
right.
you know, like all of it.
And I was just remembering. So when I watched the miniseries, because miniseries, like I'm not sure how well I recommend that. I recommend it as a curiosity, and the commentaries are actually super interesting to hear Stephen King talk about the challenges of adapting for television miniseries, and there's a lot of just interesting information that comes out because there's such a long period of time over which they're talking. But one of the particularly interesting things about it is it's shot at the place, at the actual hotel that Stephen King stopped at that gave him the idea for The Shining.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
It's right set on the. So when you see like the Rocky Mountains and stuff, they're actually, it's not some sort of the projection or whatever that they'll often use in movies shot on sets for whatever's outside. It's the actual Rocky Mountains and stuff. So that stuff was rather neat to see. And on the flip side, I was surprised in digging into The Shining a little more for the first time in a long time that wasn't a real hotel. Like, that was all built. So I guess they would have had to rebuild it, but God, it was perfect. I mean, like, you got to get like the right lens. So like the set has to be perfect. You got to get the same lens, the same distance from the science of that is so remarkable what they did to recreate those things. And like the stuff, like you may not recognize all of it, but you just kind of like catch on to what they're doing. Like I hadn't seen The Shining in years or whatever, but I was catching that stuff in a satisfying way. And then now to hear like what you're saying about the hand gestures, I can only imagine the details.
I am sure there's just so much that make it make it into the Stephen King universe, and then on top of all of that stuff, it was thoroughly enjoyable as a movie.
Yeah.
Like, just like you were saying, perfectly cast, perfectly performed. The beats were good. It just was totally watchable and just a good movie.
Yeah, and it gets into like an adventure at a certain point where like the adult Danny teams up with this super powerful kid Abra to like go after Rose the Hat and the True Knot to stop them, basically doing what they're doing. And Abra's like this like little superhero in a way because of her powers are so intense.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a fun movie. It was a touching movie. It wasn't really scary. Although the really most horrific thing I would say was the torturing and killing
of the kid. Yeah. Even the Shining stuff, like the ghosts from the Overlook.
Yeah.
Like, even that stuff wasn't like the woman in the bathtub. The first time he hears her as a kid, like she followed him from the Overlook, and he hears the bathtub splash in the middle of the night, and he pisses himself, and like and the door swings open, and there's like it's dark behind the shower curtain, and like, is there someone back there? Is there not someone back there?
Right.
But then you see her, like, that was fucking terrifying. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was scary. They did that perfect. But then just like another 180 when he finally knows the trick on how to fight him, when he goes into that bathroom and she's like grinning.
Oh yeah. At the end, yeah.
And he has so much confidence in himself that he like turns his back on her while he shuts the door.
That was exciting.
Oh man, is that good?
Communicates so much too. Like he doesn't say anything. You just know that now he has the confidence and he's going in there to just handle it.
Yep.
And then you see that with Abra at the end, right? Isn't that what they do? Like she goes into a bathroom or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Now she's haunted by maybe that same ghost, right, from 237.
Oh yeah,
maybe not her.
Totally could be. Yeah,
So
that's the same exact setup. I think the same exact thing happens.
Yeah,
and she does the same thing, like turns her back on the ghost, and because she knows what she needs to do. Oh man, I just remember it ended, and I'm just like, I did not even want to see this movie. Like I didn't even want to come to this movie, and I'm so entertained. I was so entertained by it. It was so good. Highly recommend it. Especially if you're a fan of The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I don't know why you wouldn't be. That movie
Yeah.
is so good.
Yeah.
Or a fan of the book. I don't know
Yeah.
why you wouldn't be. That book is so good. Yeah, totally recommend it.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to see something live up to, a trailer.
Yes. Yeah, because I remember I shared that trailer and it's just the trailer of him riding the tricycle through the halls of the Overlook. And then you came back with they recreated all of that stuff except for the one like you found out really fast or you knew
I don't remember how, but
that they had actually recreated all that stuff and that made it even better. And then it was just so good. Everybody brought their A game. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah, me too. And the bride as well, who was also a skeptical audience. That was cool to see her come around and enjoy it so much. She said to me a few days after, though, or maybe it was even leading up, she's like, you realize the last 3 movies we've seen in the movie theater were It Chapter 2, The Joker, and Dr. Sleep.
That's the same movies I've seen in the last movies I've seen in the theater.
Can't we just see like a nice romantic comedy or something? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, invite me to a movie. I will go to it with you. But that's just how it's been.
Yeah.
She's really excited to see Knives Out. That's just her kind of whodunit thing.
That looks fantastic.
Yeah. We're going to see that. I guess it would be next weekend.
Is that who's the guy that did like Rushmore and
it's actually Ryan Johnson.
It's Ryan Johnson directed that?
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait. Yeah. Oh, that makes it even better.
Fun though. The preview of it says like it's got this like 70s vibe with the titles and stuff, and it's like from the director of The Last Jedi and Looper and stuff. It's just funny the way it's presented. She and I watched Clue for the first. She probably saw it as a kid, but I'd never seen it, and it was at this place that the fall break cabin that we did last year, and the Wi-Fi was bad or whatever, so we were looking through their DVD collection. I think that's right. Yeah, I get confused sometimes with Clute, which I've never seen, but would like to someday. But no, the movie Clue with Tim Curry, and it's like a whodunit that's like a board game, and we really enjoyed that. Like watching, we were like, "That's really fun."
That movie is fantastic. That was one of Aaron Kramer's like.
Was it? Oh, I have to check that. Yeah, but this felt sort of like a modern version of that, done with a plus cast and director and stuff. And so I think we're going to see that next. And that'll not be a
Ash
horror
really
movie.
wants to see that. There's a few. I think we might go see the Mr. Rogers movie this weekend.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, I would like that. I could see us going to that.
That whole I love that Esquire article, and that movie is just about the writing of that Esquire article, which is amazing. And I wish Mr. Rogers was around right now.
Yeah, I'll just be a puddle in that movie, I think, but in a great way, like the kind
absolutely
of like yeah. If you're gonna cry, the way you this is makes you because you're touched, not because you're like sad.
Yep. But Knives Out is definitely one we'll probably see too. So yeah, this weekend is going to could be kind of crazy. I might be going to Chicago in the day. We might go see the Mr. Rogers movie. There's Cincinnati is happening this weekend, and I might go down for a little bit.
Yeah.
If I go down to that though, I'm just going to blow money. So it'll cost us $50 just to get in if Ash and I go, because it's $25 at the door, but that covers like they have like 150 machines on free play.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you could then just play whatever once you get in.
Yeah, but then there's a ton of like vendors who sell parts and stuff for your pinball machine. So like, and mods and toys and like extra stuff that you can put on them and trick them out.
That sounds cool. Oh, but you kind of have to choose between that or the Chicago trip.
Oh, no. Like that would it would be really a choice between going to Cincinnati or going to see the Mr. Rogers movie, because we have a Friendsgiving on Saturday to go to. So,
That's a lot of
Yeah.
fun stuff. A lot of fun potential there.
Yeah. So
Are you done with the pinball service stuff that wasn't quite wrapped up?
yeah, pretty much, I think. I mean, I still work on my own machines, but I'm not like going out on jobs or anything.
You're free of
anymore.
that attachment or obligation or whatever that was.
Pretty much. We finally got if you know the whole story, like we finally got the guy's boards done, and when I finally was I scheduled the appointment, and then I went to go pick him up, and he was like, "Oh, I need another." He didn't answer my text messages for like days. And so then the day of, I text him 20 minutes before I was going to come pick him up. I'm like, I'm on my way. And he's like, "Oh, can we push it to this time?" And then he finally responded, and I was already on my way. And he's like, "Let's push to this time." I'm like, you know what? I called him. I'm like, "I'm coming to your house. I'm just dropping all your crap off. I'm done with this."
Oh,
And then I called the customer. I'm like, "I'm really sorry." So then the customer called me back, and he's like, "Listen, I want to get this done." So I ended up going out there, and we spent so much time out there, and then it still didn't work. The machine,
no.
we had to take the board back with us. I was so frustrated.
You went with the guy you were working with, or just you and working with?
Yeah, with
the
the guy. I made him come out with me. I'm like, you have to come out with me because, one, I'm not going to answer for how long this guy's been waiting, and two, I don't want there to be something wrong that I don't know how to fix, because I want this guy's machine done. And so we got out there and we couldn't fix it.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, I was so pissed. So pissed. So that's all up in limbo now. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done. If he calls me and says, "Hey, I got this guy's board, let's go back and put it out there, put it in," then I'll go back out with him, I guess, to take care, just to wrap up this one customer,
Oh,
but
man.
I'm still working on my machines. I have big plans for my Scared Stiff machine this fall. I want to pull the play field and get it stripped down and get parts cleaned and things rebuilt. And I'm thinking about getting the play field clear coated and the cabinet clear coated, like putting new decals on the cabinet and then getting the cabinet clear coated too. So we'll see if that happens, but if it does, that'd be pretty fucking sweet. So we'll take it from we'll see about that. But all right, man, it's kind of this is a short long walk short drink,
I guess. Yeah,
it's winding down. I feel
focused.
So yeah,
sort of.
Well, I mean, it's as focused as we can get. Shit, a month from now we'll have already been done with all of our
Oh yeah, that weekend of stuff of fun Star Wars and Cabin Kid shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So buddy, I'll see you in less than a month.
Yes, indeed.
You're gonna be sitting in
my
here.
Gosh,
that's crazy.
We'll have a blast.
Yeah, it'll be a great time. But so make sure you're following us at LWSD Pod on Twitter.
I'll tweet out Moto's. Actually, I already did tweet out Moto's album. You can get it. You can find it there.
I can't wait to listen to that. Moto, man, keep up the great work, dude.
Yeah, just making shit.
Making shit.
Making music.
Head to audibletrial.com/LWSD. Sign up for your free Audible trial and download your first audiobook on us. Download The Shining. Listen to that or Dr. Sleep. Either one of those.
Yeah.
Go to youtube.com/LW or Long Walk Short Drink. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, we earned that shit. 108 subscribers last I looked.
You can see some clips from in video episodes from our past episodes. Head on over there. Other than that, I think
subscribe there too, because if you haven't somehow already, or if you're coming on because of the Shining content in this episode or something, because the next one will be a video episode.
Oh yeah, because we'll be doing
in the pinball parlor.
In the pinball parlor.
Talking Star Wars Episode 9. Conclusion of the Skywalker saga, right?
Yeah. I can't. I don't know. I'm really kind of trying to. I haven't watched anything yet. I haven't watched I've seen the trailers. That's it.
I saw the first trailer and maybe that's all.
Yeah, but I haven't watched. I mean, I haven't watched any Star Wars like to prepare. Even
Oh
for,
yeah,
like,
we did the prequels. I had this thing where it's like maybe I'll listen to the commentaries on them, because into some of the Blu-rays that they said that they made kind of they took cast interviews from the period, so like the 70s or 80s, and they wove them together into a commentary. And so I was like, so I've been doing that a lot with various things. I'll put the commentaries on like audio, and then I'll listen to them on my drive. Okay. So I started with so I was doing a lot, but the only one I've actually listened to so far, and I found some of them online, like 2 out of the 3. I don't remember which of them. I found the Laserdisc commentaries, like from 1993, and so I'm like, this will be fun. So I'll probably still listen to some, but I tried to start with episode 1. That was like rough, because it's all just about like effects, and I'm just like, I don't care about this stuff. This is not making me excited for Star Wars. But I also just haven't switched into that gear in general really yet. Like I'm a little more excited about American Wolf in London right now.
Yeah,
than,
absolutely.
Star Wars, but I'm sure that will change very soon.
I'm more excited about Dr. Sleep now.
Yeah, all that. And I was really in Shining World for a while, because I was watching the miniseries, and like I would watch from commercial break to commercial break every night before bed, and that was all. So it took me a while to get through it. And then I did The Shining, and then I did the making of The Shining. So I just finished all that a couple days ago. So yeah, I haven't switched gears to Star Wars yet. No Mandalorian, none of that, which I know like Twinkies. Enjoying.
I haven't signed up for Disney Plus yet. For it to fall right on our pay schedule, because I want it to fall after the 30th. I can't sign up for it until this Sunday. So,
do you think you will?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That soon, and do Mandalorian?
Yeah, I'm going to try. The show looks fantastic. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure I will. I just haven't got there yet.
And it's impossible to get on YouTube without like there being, even in the thumbnails are spoilers,
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. And I don't get bent out of shape about spoilers anyways. I still will watch the shit and enjoy it. But
yeah, absolutely.
I like to be surprised in experiencing it, not seeing it on a thumbnail.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But all right, man.
Well, until our December rendezvous, well, I mean, we'll be in touch in the meantime. But
absolutely, just, less than a month though. You're gonna be here in Dayton.
Fucking A.
I can't wait, man. It's gonna be awesome.
In the meantime, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Send our love to the bride and to Jeff and 11.
Yes.
Big Jeff. Oh, the dog from the stand was Big Steve. I mean, remember Big Steve?
I guess I don't. Oh wait, that was the trusty dog that was with him. Like yes,
in his prior life before the plague hit, his name was Big Steve.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's a great dog name.
That's what Jeff reminds me of. My dog named Jeff. Oh man!
All right, buddy. To Mika and Mose as well.
Mika, Mose, and Tank.
And Tank, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
All right.
Well, all right, man.
It's great talking to you. Be well. Cheers, long walkers. Bye, buddy.
Yep. Bye.